Okay, so let's see how the shields are actually made. In the front viewport, I'm going to make a box. So you have these planks of wood, right? You have these planks of wood to block the spears. I'm going to move this plank of wood by pressing the shift key. See, I get a copy. I might put a bit of a gap, or maybe no gap, a very little gap, as much as I can. And I'll make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 copies. So you have these planks of wood which are put together by metal or nails or screws, okay? And then they are shaped into a circle. So I'm going to need to make all of this into one object. To make all of this into one object, what I can do is I can attach them, I can group them, I haven't used the sample, so I'm just going to convert this into an editable polygon. And I think what that will do is it will allow me to attach. See this attach? It allows me to attach all of these other bodies. So now this whole thing has become one object. The second thing is they use some kind of a machine to probably shape it into a circle. So let me also shape it into a circle. So I've got this cylinder. My cylinder and the planks are overlapping. I'm not going to use segments, I don't want segments. Okay, my cylinder and the planks are overlapping. Cool. Now let me show you the cool Boolean trick. In mathematics, in set theory, you can take two sets and you can have a union of the two sets. The union takes the common elements. So if you have ABC and BCD, the common is B and C. You can have the subtraction of one set from another. Now understand that visually. Even if you don't understand it mathematically, it doesn't make a difference. I loved 3D Studio Max because of my love for maths, and I actually had to get a lot of support from the artists and designers with whom I worked to improve my sense of visual accuracy. But look at this. So I have this cylinder. The steps to get the Boolean is create, geometry, compound, Boolean. Okay, create, geometry, compound, Boolean. A Boolean is an operation between two objects. Andrew, look at the screen. A Boolean is an operation between two objects. I have already got the cylinder selected. He's saying pick operand B. So there's an operator, plus, minus, union, and there's operands. So A plus B plus is the operator, A and B are operands. I already have got one operand selected. Pick operand B, bang. By default, it has given me subtraction. See that? A minus B. It has subtracted it. See that? Let's look at the intersection. Bang. And let's look at the other subtraction. B minus A. See that? So I can have the first object and cut the cylinder out, or I can have the common part, and there. That's what a shield looks like. I can convert this back to an editable poly if I want. Convert to editable poly. There. Then this shield had something like a tube around it, a thick tube around it. Okay. I'm going to take both of these shapes. So I'm going to take one of these shapes, and I'm going to align. See this align? Align with this other shape. Align the centers X, Y, Z. Okay, so now they are aligned. Now they are aligned. Do look at the video, try out these things. I'm showing you a lot of other things here and there. Selection. This one says you must select the whole object. You must go around the whole object. This one says your selection can just cross the object. So if I just cross it, they're selected. So I have got a shield with a wooden plank. Usually the shields, you would have something in the middle. I can cheat. I'm just going to put a sphere. I think I can make it into a hemisphere by chopping it. See that? I can just chop it. If you look at my top view, see this, there's chop. I can just make it into a hemisphere and move it. I'm going to again select all of these objects and align. Align. X position, Y position, Z position. We'll take this one, align it with this. Align with this other guy. Align X, Y, Z center. Align the orientation if you want as well. So now this is centered, okay? I'm going to push it a bit in front. There, that's my shield. The shield also had something like this, some kind of a metallic thing. I'm going to move it in the front. See that? So the shield had something like that. I'm going to show you a slightly advanced feature, a useful one. We'll do this in an easier way. I'm just showing you how a shield would actually be constructed. In the primitive days, they would take these, somehow put metal together. What I would like to do is multiply this. You see this fella here? I would like to multiply it radially. I want to multiply it. I don't want to lathe it. I want to multiply it. Like see, if I press shift and move it, just like the previous time, if I press shift and move it, I can say I can give me 4 clones. See that? If I press shift and rotate it, I can get clones as well. But you see the axis is a problem there. I want to rotate it about this bottom. So see this, I want to rotate it about the bottom. So if I go to hierarchy, affect pivot only, and I'm going to move the pivot. See the pivot? I'm going to align it to the object, this object. My pivot has been aligned to the center of, the pivot of this is aligned to the center of the hub, the pivot point. And I turn it off. Now if I click this one, I go to shift and rotate, I will be able to create an array. No, doesn't like it. What did I have? What happened? My pivot is still not there. Pivot. I'm going to move it and force it to be at the bottom. Move it to the bottom of this. And now if I press shift, rotate, I'm going to put an angle snap, A for angle snap. See when I press A, can you see that button on top highlighting? A for angle snap. So 45 is okay. And how many do I need? Copies. I need 7 more. Bang. So I've got a shield. So I've got a shield with different parts, and we have actually grouped it, attached it. You can see it's a shield, no problem. but it's been made with different parts, and I would need to attach the parts. So I would need to, any object with an editable poly, any object which is an editable poly, I would need to go to attach, and I can attach my name, and I can pick all the objects. I can say attach this fellow, attach this. I have to do it one by one. Okay. Or I can just keep clicking and attaching. Okay. That's one way. The crude way, putting pieces together. Get a box, get a sphere, get boxes, and that's the way it's probably manufactured. And it's not wrong to make it this way. All I want is a shield. The way you make it is your choice. But the method I'm going to show you is more to do with how modeling is done. So I'm not going to save this one. Actually, I will save it as shield 1. Okay, the other method, which relies on what we did this morning. Okay, the other method which is based on what we did this morning. So I'm going to create a lathe. So I'll start with a snap, so I can snap in the middle. Click. I'm going to do a click and drag because I want a bit of a curve here. Click, 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 click. Can you see the shape I've got? Okay? Can everyone see the shape? And I get rid of the snap because otherwise the snap is annoying. So I've got this. And when I go to lathe, I'm going to lathe this by 24 segments. Minimum, because I do the right hand side, and weld the core. You must weld the core. Minimum. So if I'm drawing the left hand side, you must do maximum, the alignment. Okay? Minimum is the least part of the x-axis, so it sweeps this way. Maximum is the highest part of the x-axis, so it sweeps the other way. And if it ever confuses you, you know what? Just try all three and you'll see, oh, that's the one I want. Because I do the right hand side, on the x-axis, see, this is the minimum point. In fact, there's an actual term called maxima, minima for anybody who actually did maths 3. Maths 3, anyone? No? But that's okay. This actually comes from those terms. But make sure you have minimum if you're drawing the right side. Now this line here, you see I showed you earlier that it has got the interpolation 6, which adds many segments here. I want the interpolation to be 1, just 1. Okay? And if I really want the hub to be bigger, see, I can make the hub bigger in the middle by changing the vertices while keeping this test tube on. I can actually see the end result, right? So there. So I made this the base of my shield. Before I go further, I'm going to convert this into an editable poly. There are certain things we need to do because they are of the same, because it is the same object. How are we going to assign different materials to the wooden portion, to the metallic portion? Well, this is how we do it. I'm going to convert this to an editable poly for 2 reasons. One reason is I want to select all of these guys. So once you're in editable poly, You can select vertices. Okay, you can select vertices and start moving them. You can select polygons. I'm going to select all of these polygons, and somewhere at the bottom, I've got ID. I'm going to set ID 1. All of these are ID 1. Okay. Then I'm going to select all of these, the front wooden ones. I'm giving different identifiers to different polygons, and I have to be very careful that I don't select the back face. I'm selecting the top face. Okay. There is somewhere here an option to keep the back face off. It's hidden somewhere in that. Let me just lock the taskbar. Okay, just drag it down. Ah. Okay. Now I won't have to worry about the taskbar, at least on the right. So I select these, give them ID 1. These guys I'll give ID 2. Okay. So if I look at these guys, I can say select ID 1. That's ID 1, and select ID 2. That's ID 2. Cool. I've got 2 IDs for my material. There's something more important here. You know those things I made? The shield has got those spikes, the metal bits holding it. See how I'm going to make it. I've got 24 sections. So that's 90 degrees. 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm going to take these 2 polygons here. These 2 polygons, okay? I'm going to go to my camera, spin it around. Then that's 90, leave 2. Leave 2, and then I'm going to select these 2. Then leave 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then press the control key. If you press the control key, it will add to the selection, just like you select files in Explorer. Leave 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've selected some polygons. Cool. Sounds good. See what I'm going to do with it. I've selected the polygons, and somewhere in here, you see this, there's bevel. So I select on the dialog box. The dialog box actually gives me this dialog box. I want to bevel a group, and see as that's my outline. I don't want the outline too much. See this, it's going outside. Cool. And my outline, I want it to be pointed. Cool. Extruded and pointed, beveled. I like it. I'm going to click on the tick mark. Okay. I like it. I click on the tick mark. I want to select these polygons. Polygon, using the selection method, crossing, and I want these polygons to be the same as the metal part. I think I made the metal part 1, so this has to be set ID 1. Basically, if you pull an ID 1, it will be ID 1. Okay. If you pull ID 1, it will be ID 1. So that was ID 1. That's ID 1. Now I want these vertices here, and I'm going to move them down. Just going to move them down into the board, just into the board. See that? Ah, come on. And I'm going to use my back camera to come out. So I've actually made my shield. This is my shield. That's my shield. Top view, perspective, and I'm just going to render it. I'm going to render it. Now, you remember that we actually have got some materials in here of different IDs, ID 1 and 2, right? I'm just going to take a material called multi-sub-object. Multi-sub-object. And you can choose the number of IDs, set number to 2. I've only talked about two things, metal and wood, right? Metal and wood. I need a standard material which will go to 1, and I need another standard material which will go to 2. Standard material 1, I'm just going to make it a wooden color. I'll just leave it an ordinary thing. I'll just put a bit of a gloss on it. I'll give it a bit of a wooden color. And in maps, I will actually give it a wooden fence kind of plank. I just need a wooden plank for number 2 actually. For number 2 I need a wooden plank. So I'm looking for something that looks like a fence, like which gives me planks of wood, a tight fence. I call it fence texture. That should just give me the texture. Or you can go to Photoshop, make it. Oh, okay, I'll take this one. Not exactly what I need, but this should do the trick. Okay, I'm just going to save this image. I'm saving it in my images folder in Max. Wooden fence. Metal, I don't need anything. So I think 1 was the outside, 2 was the inside. So material 2, you see the diffuse here, maps, the diffuse map. I'm going to choose bitmap, and I'm going to choose that fence which I just had. I can also drag it and drop it as a bump map to give it a bit of roughness. And I don't want such a big bump map. A bump map will just make it a bit bumpy. Okay? So these two things are here. And this material 1, I'm just going to make it into a metallic, grayish metallic. Grayish metal. I could make it rough metal, give it some texture, brushed metal. I could give it some noise, but I'll leave it as now. And I'm going to assign it. So this material has got 2 sub-materials. I'm assigning it to this object. What will happen is, the material will go and pick up whatever they are assigned. Now I might have lost my assignments, I think. Oh no, they are the 2 colors. I can see the 2 colors. I got an error. It says you want me to put a picture of a fence on the object, but I don't know how. Should I apply it from the front? Should I apply it from the top? So, look at this step, what I do. I select an object and I'm applying a UVW map. I'm saying I want the map to be planar. Planar from Y, fit, yeah, from Y, okay? So you choose whether you want it to be wrapped as a cylinder, shrink wrapped, wrapped as a box. So think about it as a gift paper, how it is to be wrapped. Flat from the top, wrapped like a box, shrunk wrapped, wrapped like a cylinder. And once, if it's planar, which planar? From x-axis, from y-axis, from z-axis. So I said planar, I said y, and I said just fit it, okay? Now, if I actually go and assign this, I should be able to. So you can see there's my shield. Okay. Now this other material is not very clear, so I'm just going to give it a bit of a. I'm just going to make it blend. I'm just going to make it blend for now, so it renders a bit properly. Yeah. So that's my shield. Okay. If I want to add more detail to it, no problem. I can always go into polygon, and I just decided that I want a bit more detail to it. So I've gone into polygon. I'm going to select these two with the control button pressed. I'm going to select these two. I spin it around with the orbit. Again with the control button pressed, I select these two. I select these two. And again with the control button pressed, and I go into the select option here. I select these two. Again I'm going to bevel these. I'm just going to leave it less tapered. I'm going to increase the height this time. Okay. And I'm just going to move them down. I need to click on the tick to actually select it. I'm going to then move it down. Okay. And you can see it's a bit bigger, right? But if I click on the scale and I say scale globally, scale global. Let me see, if I select those vertices and scale, I should be able to scale them in. So I select these vertices. Again, I press the shift key to add more to my selection. I select these vertices. I come to scale and I scale them in. Okay. Now that should suffice. That should make it look pretty decent. I come out of vertex, come to UV map. I did something bad. See, I did something bad. Oh, I don't know what I did here. I actually got. Oh, I had some polygon selected when I was beveling it. I'm not sure at what point it happened, but yeah. So I can add more detail if I want. Okay. I'll stop the video recording here and we'll do this together.